Yo, what's up, guys? Quick live stream. Gonna go through some plays. So, Underdog Fantasy has a nice little promo on Jokic. They usually give you a 3x payout. So, you put down 10, you win 30. But with this promo, you can take Jokic's over or his under. You're going to get a 4x boost. So, these promos, easiest money we're going to make sports betting. So, PrizePicks has a promo too. It's called Flex Friday, Protected Play, which basically your first bet is risk-free up to $20. So if you lose, you get your money back. So promos like this is the easiest money, we're going to make sports betting. So definitely want to take advantage of them. And all these books have promos. So like this ParlayPlay platform, what's kind of cool about it is you can like create your own discount every day. So let's say you're one of those nerds who likes betting on esports. You can like take this guy and you can go higher or lower, right? You can like, if you want to take his over, you don't have to get over 33.5. You can bump him to 32.5. So you can create your own discount every day. But anyways, let's start with this underdog promo. I'll try to keep this live stream brief. And obviously I follow a very data-driven approach to my bets. The data never lies long-term, but the first thing we want to figure out is like, okay, Jokic, do we want to take his over or under? So a lot of people like to look at these, last 5 graphs. Oh, how did he do in the last 5 games? But this is pretty useless, right? Everything is baked into the market. Every game's different. They're playing the Mavs today. He's going to have a different player defending him. So what we want to do is we want to look at sports books, right? You want to look at prices. You want to look at odds. Everything's baked into the odds that books are putting out. So if you look across the market, Pinnacle, FanDuel, Flip, all these books have Jokic's under favored, right? They have lines juiced towards the under. FanDuel, minus 120 juice towards the under. So all of these books, essentially what they're telling you is, hey, we think Jokic is more likely to go under as opposed to over. They just locked their market. But, Pinnacle, which is known to be one of the sharpest bookmakers, Flip, all these books have him slightly favored to go under. There's more juice towards his under. So we want to take his under for this promo, but we still need some good picks to pair with it. So where do we want to start? Damn, there's a fair amount of value on Underdog right now. Fair amount of Underdog value right now, so that's good. So this promo is only a max bet size of $10. So I don't want to take like any of the top plays to go with because we'll create a slip afterwards on Underdog Fantasy. So what we can do is we can go a little lower. And if we look at like Lamar Jackson and we look at passing attempts, again, what's really weird about Underdog Fantasy is if we pull up Lamar, right, they'll give you the same payout if you take a player's over versus his under. That's what makes Underdog really interesting in PrizePicks is they have these fixed payouts. You take Lamar's over, under, whatever, you're always getting a 4x payout. We took Jokic's under because that's the favorite outcome. But for Lamar, you're going to see ParlayPlay and PrizePicks. So the other fantasy sites, they have Jackson's line higher at 29.5, and all the sports books have his line, higher at 29.5 as well. Or the ones that have his line at 28.5, they have his over as a pretty heavy favorite, minus 130 favorite. So he's more likely to go over 28.5. And again, you have all these $10 billion companies with really good models, and they're all telling you, his line should be higher at 29.5, or it should be at 28.5 with the over favored. So unless you think you're smarter than the entire betting market, you want to take Lamar Jackson's over. So this is what I'm going to go with for the promo. But again, there's more value on Underdog. So let's take a look at what else we can bet. In these promos, again, easiest money you're going to make sports betting. So yesterday they had a discount on Booker. They discounted his PRA line down to 29.5. Obviously, he blew through it. He had a great game. He had 46. But still, I take advantage of all these promos. This one's now down to pure sell. So obviously, not every play is going to win with these promos, but, this is the easiest money we're going to make sports betting. So anyways, there's more value. There's more plays that we can go with on Underdog. So let's just start looking at some of these other plays. And I just want to stress it. You want to move quickly. You can see Jokic's rebound line is ripping towards the over. So it's around this time in the day when you'll see a really good Twitter account to follow is actually Underdog's NBA account. They release injuries, questionable players, all this stuff moves around the market. if Halliburton isn't playing, a ton of other Pacers lines have to move. Who's going to be scoring more points? Who's going to be passing the ball more? Who's going to be getting more minutes? Like all this stuff moves around player prop lines, and all these books set lines independently. So, they all got to update. But anyways, let's start looking for some picks. So the first play that looks pretty good is also in the passing attempts line. So we got the Germany game, Tua under 36.5 passing attempts. So again, let's just look at the data. Even if you don't use ParlayPlay or PrizePicks, like these are fantasy sites that work exactly like Underdog. They have really sophisticated models. All these books have invested a lot of money in their ability to set lines. And if you look at the sports books, in general, they all have his line lower at 35.5, or they have the under heavily favored. So it's like, okay, that seems like a good play to go with. And then we can go to Bobby Wagner over 9.5 tackles plus assists. We got Mitchell Robinson under 9.5 rebounds. So sometimes these slips look like the most random crap of all time. So obviously Mitchell Robinson, he has the same rebound and rebound plus assist line. So obviously you want to take Mitchell Robinson rebounds. And then we have this play on Jokic. Shit. And you can see they already moved it. The odds of this bet have already changed. So again, I say this all the time, but like when you're a sharp bettor, trying to make money sports betting, you got to move quick. Like these plays are not going to last forever. These plays are not going to last forever. So what we can do is we can refresh this as well. So we have, and you can see they already locked Tua passing attempts. So again, this stuff moves pretty quickly. But if you look at this play on Bobby Wagner, again, if you go through the math behind Underdog Fantasy, I have my little spreadsheet that breaks down the math behind Underdog. But these 3-pick entries are pretty solid. We just played a 2-pick entry, but I mean, this is for a promo. In general, shit. So let's refresh this. So we got down a good promo play, which is awesome. But there's some more value on Underdog. But again, like for the promo, you're getting 10 to win 40. You're getting a 4x payout. Usually they only give you a 3x payout. But essentially, like for these 3-pick entries, Underdog gives you, and you can see they keep reducing my betting limit. Now I am at a $50 max bet size. I used to be in a $100 max bet size. The promos are all $10. I used to be a $500 max bet size. So this is what's tricky about sports betting. You can see my early season bets were $500. But these sports books can, they determine your maximum betting size, which sucks because obviously if you really like plays and you want to build your bankroll, you want to be able to bet as much as you want. But that's not how it works on sports books. But anyways, you can see there's some good plays. So the first play that OddsJam's recommending is Bobby Wagner over 9.5 tackles plus assists. So again, right, the way that Underdog works is if we take this guy's over, if we take Wagner's over, or if we take his under, they're always going to give us the same payout, 10 to win 30, a 3x payout for these 2-pick entries. So what you want to do is you want to look at the data points in the market and be like, okay, like what's the good side? Is there enough value to justify placing this bet? So if you look at Bobby Wagner, and let's just go into Caesars as an example. So in the Seahawks game, you're going to see all the books have him really heavily favored to go over 9.5 tackles plus assists. So you may not use Caesars. I mean, it may not be a book legal in your state. Again, what's a little annoying about sports betting is all these books are legal in different states. But if you look at Bobby Wagner, I mean, Caesars has him almost minus 200 to go over, right? So minus 200 means a 2-to-1 betting favorite, 2/3 to go over, 2/3 to win the game, 2/3 whatever. Minus 200 means a 2-to-1 favorite. Minus 300, 3-to-1 favorite, 75% to win, 3/4 to win. Right? So every odd, so like sports books are telling you, hey, here's how likely we think Bobby Wagner is to go over through their odds, right? Minus 200, 2-to-1 favorite, 2/3 to win. Minus 300, 3-to-1 favorite, 3/4 to win. So there's a difference in how much juice, sports books are applying in the same way where like, if you look at the Ravens, they're minus 250 favorites. They're bigger favorites than, let's say, the Chiefs, who are only minus 124. So both teams are favored, but the Ravens are obviously much bigger favorites. They're probably like 70% to win the game, according to the market. And if you think the Seahawks are more likely than, 30% to win the game, you can bet them at plus 230. So every odd has an associated probability. But anyways, let's refresh this. So for this play on Wagner, right, all the books are telling you like, yo, he's a lot more likely to go over as opposed to under. So it would make no sense to take his under when you're getting the same payout on Underdog Fantasy. So we want to take his over. That would be the sharp pick we want to be on because all the books have his over heavily favored. And if you go through the math behind Underdog Fantasy, what you'll see is to be profitable playing 3-pick entries, all you need to do is win these over-unders, just like Wagner over-under. Where are you? Just like Wagner over under 9.5, if you can win these over unders 55% of the time, you're going to be profitable above 55% of the time. I mean, Underdog has fixed payouts, right? Any 3-pick entry, you're getting a 6x payout. So it all just boils down to win rate, right? You want to find plays that are winning at the highest possible rate. And long story short, if you can win your picks above 55% of the time, you're going to be profitable. But that's not like easy to do, right? Like 55% isn't easy. You got to win 56% of your player props, only losing 44%, right? Like your grandma would win her picks 50% of the time and she'd lose 50%. It's like flipping a coin. She'd be 50-50 to select Bobby Wagner's over or under correctly. Whereas you need a real edge on Underdog. You got to win 56% of your picks, only losing 44% of our picks. But anyways, we're looking at 3-man uninsured. So you can see there's not enough value after they ripped off all the shit we wanted to bet. So what we can do is we can go over to PrizePicks for now. And we can take a look at PrizePicks. Because PrizePicks has a promo and these assholes, you can see they just locked it. So again, like some of these really good bets, they're not, or it looks like maybe they put it back, but they're not going to last forever. So anyways, the way this Flex Friday promo works is if we lose, we get our money back. I mean, about as easy as it gets. You lose, you get your damn money back. So what we want to do is we want to find some good picks to go with. So if you look at this play on Hyped, so this is a CS2 play, an esports play. This is a play I'd skip over. I mean, you only have 2 data points, right? Hot Streak has a lineup and PrizePicks has a lineup. Again, what's great about the NBA is like, there's hundreds of sports books posting odds. I mean, literally 219 books. So you have really high confidence in where the line should be set. There's all these books. Everyone sets lines on the NBA. Esports, not as many books post lines, which also means you have less data points as a sharp bettor. But if you look at this player, like you can tell it's a huge discrepancy. Hot Streak has his line at 27.5, PrizePicks at 32.5. So what you could do is you could middle bet this, right? You could bet the over 27.5 and the under 32.5 on PrizePicks. I mean, the sports betting market is so fragmented, so inefficient. You think about the price of a stock, there's one damn price. You go to Fidelity, E-Trade, Robinhood, Charles Schwab. This is the price of Facebook, $315.21. It's all the same shit. It's one price. What's crazy about sports betting is for the exact same bet, how many, kills is this hyped guy going to have in the first 2 maps? 27.5, 32.5. It's like if you saw a stock at 27.50 on E-Trade, 32.50 on Fidelity, you'd be like, what the, it would be pretty damn easy to be a day trader. So what you could do is you could middle bet this. You could bet the over 27.5 on Hot Streak, the under 32.5 on PrizePicks. And if he has exactly 28, 29, 30, 31, or 32, you'd win both bets. But it's not really clear if you just want to take one side. Like, it's still valuable information to see this discrepancy, but it's not clear, like, okay, like, which book is screwing up here? We know some book is screwing up because there's a huge discrepancy, like a 20% discrepancy in where these books are setting their lines, but it's not clear, like, which side is right, which is wrong. So you could middle bet. Right? Middle betting is a great strategy. Hit the over 27.5, the under 32.5, but we're not going to do that because that's, not going to be fun because I'm trying to place a Flex Friday. But anyways, the next play we can look at is Jokic assists. So we actually had Jokic assists cash out a parlay of ours a couple days ago. So who are the Nuggets playing? So we can take a look here and again, data. PrizePicks has the line at 9, Underdog 8.5, ParlayPlay 8.5. I promise you, if you just follow the data, you'll make a lot more money sports betting than you are now. So this play, the value's on Jokic is under. So if we go here to Jokic, right? Again, last 5 graphs, useless. PrizePicks literally has last 5 graphs on their website. That's because they're useless. They wouldn't have this information on their site if it helped you win your bets. PrizePicks is trying to make money off you. It's a zero-sum game. You win or they win. But anyways, Jokic's line is 9 on PrizePicks. You have 2 other fantasy sites, ParlayPlay and Underdog with his line lower at 8.5. JockMKT's at 8. All these other books have the line at like 8.5. Flip has the line at 8.5 with the under as a minus 160 favorite. FanDuel has the line at 8.5 with the under slightly favored. So all these books, you're processing all this information in the market, whatever, makes it pretty clear like, PrizePicks is giving us way too much value on Jokic's under. So we want to take the under 9. So this seems like a great play to go with for a Flex Friday. Underdog Fantasy, I kind of bounce around from book to book. You never know which book is going to have the good promos. Like Underdog Fantasy's had a crazy amount of promos this year, like these, discounts and stuff like that. So more books, the better. But anyways, we have Jokic under 9 assists. These 2 plays, there's only 2 data points. So whatever, we'll skip them over. But check out this play, right? So we have Missouri receiver. We have Burden over 6.5 receptions. So this is college football, right? We need 5 sharp picks on PrizePicks. So again, PrizePicks, they only give you a 5x payout for these 3 pick entries. So you don't want to play them. Underdog Fantasy, again, it's a 6x payout. So for this Jonathan Taylor promo, 5 to win 30, it's a 6x payout. So Underdog has better payouts than PrizePicks. But I have my little spreadsheet for PrizePicks as well. And on PrizePicks, you have to win above 54.25. So you got to be able to win these over-unders, just like Jokic over-under 9 assists, above 54.25% of the time to be profitable. PrizePicks has fixed payouts. So it all boils down to your win rate. You can win 57% of your over-unders, right? You can win these over-unders 57% of the time. Your ROI will be 19.25%. You can only win your over-unders 55% of the time, 4.98%. So it all boils down to win rate. But long story short, PrizePicks, it all boils down to can you win your over-unders, just like Jokic over-under 9, above 54.25% of the time. So why do we think this play on, Burden is winning over 54.25% of the time? It's like, well, shit, let's look at the data, right? All of these books have sophisticated models. You at least want to put some weight in their odds, right? Like FanDuel is a multi-billion-dollar company. Even if, you think your sports takes are pretty good, you should put some weight into the odds that all these books are putting out. So if you look at this player, right, Fliff, they don't have his line at a different level. They have his line at 6.5, but they have his over heavily favored, right? The over is a minus 145 favorite. He's more likely to go over as opposed to under. The books have his over favored. So it's like, okay, like the sports books have his over favored, or you can see FanDuel actually has his line at 7.5. So all this odds jam, fantasy optimizers doing is reading in the data and pointing out value. And it only works for these fixed payout fantasy sites. So when you think about like, these other sites, like Fliff is a traditional sports book. It doesn't have fixed payouts. Fliff, there's a bunch of numbers. There's a bunch of odds. On, PrizePicks, there's no numbers. There's no odds. But anyways, here seems like a good play to go with from the positive EV tool really quickly on, so we got the Rams game. And we have Jalen Reed under 2.5 receptions. They're giving us plus 105 on Fliff. No other book even giving us plus money. And Pinnacle, which is known to be the sharpest bookmaker in the world, they have the under favored. They have the under all the way at minus 120. And Fliff is giving us an underdog price, right? They're giving us plus 105 odds, underdog odds on this play when Pinnacle, sharpest bookmaker, has the under favored. So it's like, okay, this seems like a great play to go with. So what we can do is we can, bounce around, lock this in quickly. Again, try to move quickly. You saw how quick Underdog Fantasy ripped out some of those lines. So the more books you have, the better. Never know which book is going to have value on a given day. And even though the NFL, it's still a couple days away, like who cares, right? Like you can see I have bets locked in for the NFL, tons of them. And again, like the only thing you have to deal with is these platforms with their max betting limits. On Underdog Fantasy, max betting limit, depending on the promo, maybe $10. I'm now getting $50 max. All these platforms have slightly different betting limits. Whereas, there are some books that still have pretty high betting limits. Caesar Sportsbook is known for, having high betting limits. So, I'm able to get down more action on certain sports books like Win. So the more books you have, the better, because again, you don't know which books are going to give you pretty good betting limits, which books aren't going to give you pretty good betting limits. But in these live streams, I just try to focus on the main books that are legal everywhere, and Fliff is legal basically everywhere. So let's go back to PrizePicks. So this play on Jokic assist seems quite good. And we have a play on Burden. But what we can do next is we can go over to CS2. Let's take a look at this guy. Sky under 31. So what's the deal here? So again, this is a promo. So if we lose, we're literally getting our money back. So you look at PrizePicks, it's okay, they have the line at 31. You only have 2 other data points. JockMKT has the line lower at 30.5. So that indicates to us, obviously you wouldn't want to take the over on PrizePicks over 31 if you could get over 30.5 on JockMKT, because you're getting ripped off. Or you could get the over 26.5 on Hot Streak, right? It's a very basic concept. If you're a day trader and you have to buy every stock at 30% more, you're never going to make money day trading. It's the same thing in sports betting. If you're placing bets at, what's a good example? If you're placing bets at, plus 105 or plus 100 when you could be getting plus 114, you're getting ripped off. And then you don't stand a chance at making money sports betting because you're getting ripped off. There's all these books, and just knowing that there's other sports books offering the Dolphins at plus 110, plus 112, plus 114 makes it really clear FanDuel's fucking ripping you off if you're betting them plus 106. And it doesn't mean your bet's guaranteed to lose, but I can promise you, you're not going to make money sports betting long term if you don't care if you're getting plus 106 when other books are offering plus 114. But anyways, so we have a couple picks on PrizePicks. Here we have another CS2 play, right? So you take a look here, 33, 31.5, a couple more data points. No line from Hot Streak, but it's clear yo, homie's line is too high. So now we have our 4th pick. And it looks like the most random slip of all time. But again, Underdog, PrizePicks, these platforms have tens of thousands of lines, right? There's limitless crap you can bet on these platforms. All these books are setting lines independently. Every book tries to set their own odds, their own lines. All these books want to be unique. Underdog has different lines than PrizePicks. So what we want to do, and all that, this OddsJam Fantasy Optimizer is doing, is scanning through the market and saying, yo, here's where certain books are, screwing up a little too high, a little too low. So we can look at player touchdowns as well. Sometimes there's pretty good value in these touchdown props. So if we look at Tyreek Hill, he's there's a little bit of discrepancy. Some books have him slightly favored to score. Some books have him not favored to score. If you look at Raheem, he's favored to not score, right? Ignore these books that only have one-way lines, because you want to look at books that offer odds on both an over and an under. For touchdown scores, a lot of books have only one-way markets. They only give you odds on a player to score. So on BetMGM, we can only bet on Raheem to score at minus 140. They're not letting you bet his under. But you can see they're ripping you the fuck off at minus 140. Fliff is giving you Raheem to score at plus 100. Right? So they're ripping you off. So you definitely don't want to take Raheem to not score. Travis Kelce, slight favorite to not score a touchdown. Scoring a touchdown's hard. You can see he's only scored in 2 of his last 5 games. Scoring a touchdown's hard. So everyone loves to take the favorites, but a lot of the value on these platforms, Alvin Kamara is just split, right? He's 50-50 to score or not score. So again, on PrizePicks, I said you got to win 54.25% of your plays to be profitable. Barstool has the same odds on the over and the under. Same with Fliff. Same with the score. Same with Pinnacle, sharpest bookmaker. So these books are giving you the same odds on Kamara to score or to not score, which means the books are telling you, hey, he's 50 to score, 50% to score, 50% to not score. It's like a coin flip. He's 50% to score, 50% to not score. So again, if you're winning your picks 50% of the time on PrizePicks, that's below 54.25%, your ROI is going to be negative 25%. So you're going to get screwed. So we have 4 picks, but I mean, we still need one more pick. So let's just refresh this and let's see what else is out there. Benedict over 3.5 rebounds. So we can venture a little lower and it's like, okay, whatever. Benedict over 3.5 rebounds. I mean, we also could do a little 6 flex. So you can see Kevin Love blocks plus steals. His over is pretty heavily favored. And again, so many people will say shit like, oh, you know, like you're not considering yada, yada. It's like, again, I'm not going to create a better model than a bunch of billion-dollar companies and sports books whose full-time job is setting lines. The easiest way to make money off these books is you use their information, the odds they're putting out, to your advantage. What the heck? So what we'd want to take is the over for him and the over for him. And then we can just take a look at the Heat game. And, you know, again, like use all these books, their odds, their models against them. Use it to your advantage. So you look here at Kevin Love, player steals plus blocks. You know, Fliff has him pretty heavily favored to go over. Over, you know, half of a steal and a block, he's heavily favored. I'm not going to create a better model than Fliff. I'm not, you know, a sports book that has millions of dollars to put into data feeds and hire dozens of engineers to create models to set lines, you know? So it's not easy to do, which is why you want to follow the market data. And the market tends to be pretty smart in general. You don't just have one book setting lines. I mean, you think about NFL player passing yards, right? First of all, you have hundreds of books setting lines, and they're also not fucking stupid. They're taking bets and moving around lines based on where action's coming in. So you'll see PrizePicks is an asshole. Maximum entry amount is $10. They're only going to let me bet $10. On this Flex Friday promo, which is very frustrating, but whatever, we finally got our Flex Friday play down. 5-pick entry or 6-pick entry. So if we lose, we get our money back, which is sick. But again, these books aren't stupid. Right? A lot of people would be like, like, you know, I watched Patrick Mahomes last game. Like, he's for sure going over. It's like, if all the sharp bettors, like these books know who's smart, who's profitable, yada, yada. If all the smart bettors start betting Patrick Mahomes over, what do you think is going to happen? The line's going to move up. Just like the price of a stock. If all the smart hedge funds, if there's a lot of demand to buy Facebook, the price goes up, right? It's a market, supply and demand. It's the same thing with sports. You'll see they're constantly moving around their lines, where they have their line set based on where sharp action's coming in, as well as injury news, right? Like Underdog NBA, you know, if Garland's out, if RJ Barrett's out, you'll probably see, you know, Julius Randle, his points line has to go up. You know, who's going to be getting more minutes for RJ Barrett? All that stuff moves around the lines. If, you know, Jokic is out, not only does the money line have to move for the game, all the other lines have to move as well. So, okay. So we got some plays on PrizePicks. I mean, there's like not a ton of value that we're going to set on PrizePicks all day long. You know, but this play on Jokic assists was pretty dang good if you want to include it in another slip. So if we go to NBA player assists, not WNBA. Not WNBA. Okay. So we want to go to Jokic. Right? It's like, okay, like all the other fantasy sites have his line at 8.5 or 8. All the books have his line at 8.5. You know, I mean, a lot of these books have his under 8.5 favored. It's pretty clear this play is winning above 54.25% of the time. It's profitable in a PrizePicks entry. All the books have his line lower at 8.5, right? And again, like this type of stuff is impactful. You know, 1 assist, 1 rebound. Like if you look at, for example, player rebounds or player assists, you know, Donovan Mitchell is plus 110 to have 6+ assists. He's minus 420 to have 4+ assists. So 2 assists moves his line from minus 420 to plus 110. So getting these extra half assists of value, under 9 when the rest of the market has him 8.5 or 8, this is how you beat the books long term. I mean, it's not sexy, but if Jokic has 9 assists, everyone else is going to lose. We're going to push. Our 6-pick parlay will become a 5-leg parlay because we'll push at 9. Right? This is how you beat the books long term. And getting these extra half assists, 2 assists of value. I mean, again, Donovan Mitchell goes from minus 420 to plus 110 for a 2-assist move. So, these are big changes in the odds. We know Jokic isn't going to have, Jokic, he's not going to have 20 assists. He's not going to have 0 assists. So the, 7, 8, 9, 10, the middle of his distribution, if you want to think about it that way, his line is centered around, he usually gets 9-ish assists per game. So, we'll see Jokic get, 8 assists, 7 assists, 6, up to 12. He doesn't get 0. The probability he gets 0 or 100 assists is very low. He's usually in that, 5, 6, 7 assist gap. So these extra half assists of value really matter. So let's go back to Underdog. Meh. Underdog, not a ton of crap right now. We can look at ParlayPlay, which is another platform which is great to have. We can also look at Fliff. Again, depending on the books you use, there's a lot of plays available. Geno, this play just showed up. What's going on with Geno? So Geno, lines are moving. Sometimes it's weather changes. Lines can move for a lot of reasons, right? Weather changes, stuff like that. Another good strategy, if you don't already know about it, is arbitrage betting. So this does not work for PrizePicks. It only works for sports books like Fliff, FanDuel, DraftKings. But arbitrage, again, all these books set lines independently. So this is a tool I use a lot. Is arbitrage is when these books get so out of sync on a market that you can bet the over on one book and the under on another book to guarantee a risk-free profit. So you have to move quickly to get down these arbitrage bets, but I mean, it's literally free money, right? So PointsBet and FanDuel, minus 105, plus 110. So you can see there's this huge discrepancy on Looney. PointsBet has his over at minus 105. FanDuel has his over at minus 146. FanDuel has his under at plus 110. PointsBet's at minus 125. So these books are super out of sync. Sometimes these books get so out of sync, you can bet the over on one book. In this case, PointsBet, Looney over at minus 105. The under on another book, in this case, Looney under at plus 110, and make a risk-free profit. So you just pull up this little arbitrage calculator, and it'll tell you how much to bet, depending on what your betting limit is. So 500, let's say you put on PointsBet on the over, you put 464.85. Usually I recommend round your numbers a little bit. So round this calculator from 464.85, maybe 465, and you'll make, 1134 risk-free. But for the sake of example, let's say you don't round your numbers just to kind of go through the math. But in practice, I recommend rounding this to 465. So you make money no matter what, and you can kind of go through it. So if Looney goes over, we win our bet on PointsBet, $500 at minus 105 odds, which is 500 times 100 over 105, 476 in profit. We lose 464.85 on FanDuel. That's 1134 in profit. On the other hand, if he goes under, you win no matter what. If he goes under, you lose, right? The over on PointsBet, you lose $500, but on FanDuel, we're up 464.85 times 1.1, right? We bet this at plus 110 odds. We're up 511. We make $11 risk-free no matter what happens. That's arbitrage betting. Sometimes there's better arbitrage bets than others, though. But anyways, let's go to this ParlayPlay platform. Again, depending on what books you use, you may have high betting limits, you may have low betting limits, whatever. So what we can do is we can take a look at some of these plays. Another great thing about this ParlayPlay platform is it's every week you put in claim 20% deposit promo. You put in $250, they give you $50 for free. They run this promo all the time. So what's the first play OddsJam is recommending? Justice Hill under 22.5 rushing yards. So again, I know this isn't the sexiest platform, the most popular platform, but there is a lot of value on this platform. So you can see they have his line at 22.5. All the other books have his line 19.5. You got to consider where the juice is too, right? Caesars and DraftKings, not only do they have his line lower at 19.5, parlay plays at 22.5, but they have the under heavily favored, right? Minus 140 favorites. So this platform works just like PrizePicks, Underdog Fantasy, a little bit different payouts. So next we have Evan Mobley, rebounds plus assists. So if we go here to rebounds plus assists, for Evan Mobley, we can take a look at this. And let's see where the value is on Mobley. So ParlayPlay has his line at 13.5. Where does every other fantasy site have his line? 13, 13, 13. What about all the sports books? 12.5, 12.5, 12.5, 12.5, 12.5, or 13.5 with the under heavily favored. So all of these data points indicate to us like, hey, yeah, again, it's not saying this play's a lock, but it's a play that's winning above. On parlay play, we said on PrizePicks, you have to win above 54.2% of your picks to be profitable. On parlay play, it's 53.92%. So it's lower. So their payouts are a little better. So you could also take, as you can see right here, Mobley under 10.5 rebounds. Again, here, all the sports books have the line at the same level, 10.5. So why is this pick winning above 53.9% of the time? Why is the fantasy optimizer saying it's 54.79% to hit? Well, look at all the sports books. All the books have his under heavily favored. Pinnacle, sharpest bookmaker out there, has his under as a minus 161 favorite. All these books have the under heavily favored. So we can go back here. And we can just create some slips. So again, I just follow a very data-driven approach and try to get down as many bets as I can in a given day. As many bets as I can. Jokic under 12.5 rebounds. So hopefully Jokic isn't, doesn't play a lot. So we already have Jokic under assists. But hey, I don't really care. We can add him under in rebounds as well if that's where the value is. So we look at Jokic, 12.5, 12s, 12s. All the books have his line at 12.5 with the under heavily favored, or they have his line at 11.5. So it's like, okay, like that seems good enough to go with. Pittman, under 5.5 receptions. Man, this is turning out to be all under so far. Okay. And again, the only thing you want to make, clear is, or you don't want to do is don't include picks in the same game, or be a little careful about it. But if you look at, Eric Kendricks, all the books, every single one, they all have him heavily favored to go under. So it's like, okay, like that's clearly a good play we want to be on. Mark Andrews, under 4.5 receptions. Joe Burrow, under 3.5 rushing attempts. Sure. So we can kind of play this. And obviously, if you have, if you like sports, like I obviously follow a very data-driven approach. You don't have to. You can skip over certain bets if you don't like them. But really, the core of sports betting is, of course, finding value, finding an edge. It's not just waking up and betting random shit. Like a little data will go a long way. So here we have our first entry, and it's like, okay, like boom. We got our good pick down. And then what we can do is we can be like, okay, like let's just clear out the board quickly. I just try to get down. Like I literally think about my sports betting like an investor. I want to get down as many plays with possible as an edge that have an edge on a given day, right? So Looney, heavily favored to go under, 20.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. So it's like, okay, Mark Andrews, Paul Bunovich, over, right? Mark Andrews, heavily favored to go under on all these sports books. So it's like, okay, we want to take Mark Andrews under, right? We want to take this Paul guy over. Paul Pavel, I apologize. And again, like some people will be like, oh, have you ever even watched this hockey player? It's like, no, I have no fucking idea who he is. Never heard of Pavel Bunovich. But I do know data, right? And all the books have him heavily favored to go over, as you can see right here, right? Pinnacle, sharpest bookmaker in the world. Even if you've watched every hockey game this season, you're not going to be able to tell me whether he's more likely to get a point or not than all the bookmakers. Because again, this is a market. These books are taking bets and moving around lines based on where sharp action is coming in. These books aren't stupid, right? Like if all the sharp action is coming in on Mobley's under or Looney's under or whoever, like books move lines towards the under. So you can see here, like Caesars hasn't updated odds, but Bet Online, which is known to be a really sharp sports book, they've ripped his line all the way down to minus 145. So who knows? Maybe Mobley's expected to play less minutes. There's a player who's questionable. Like maybe it's on this questionable shit, right? Maybe if Garland plays like, whatever, Mobley will play less minutes. So he's less likely to, I don't know. Or maybe it's just sharp action came in and started hammering his under. And all the books are like, damn, all our really sharp customers are hammering his under. I guess his under is heavily favored. Everything's baked into the market. But anyways. And ParlayPlay has a max bet size of $60. You can see at least for these for 6-pick entries, they have a max bet size of $60. So a lot of these plays I've already included, right? So it's like, okay, like there's a fucking ant. So a lot of these plays I've already included. So it's like, okay, we're going to need new picks. So Benedict over 3.5 rebounds. We could sit here all day and do it, then go back to Underdog. Taylor Heineke, right? Like, let's take a look at Taylor Heineke. Desmond Ridder benched. So if we take a look here at NFL passing yards, let's take a look at him. Right? ParlayPlay has his line at 217.5, right? This extra 10, 7, 8 yards of value. You literally have dozens of data points, all telling you his line should be around 209.5. So it's like, okay, that play seems quite good. And do we have a play in the Vikings game? No, we don't. I just want to make sure I don't have too many picks from the same game. Caleb Williams, under in rushing yards. Geno Smith, over in passing completions. So we can refresh this. I mean, sometimes a new good play will pop up. And again, you can filter in whatever books you use, FanDuel, DraftKings, Caesars. There's a lot of good bets on these platforms, right? FanDuel has a lot of good promos, 50% same game parlay profit boost, college football parlay profit boost. Like just like we went through on PrizePicks and Underdog, like they're good promos. Underdog Fantasy, has this promo on Jokic. PrizePicks has this protected play. All these books have good promos. Again, I don't know what books are legal in your state. I just try to focus on the most popular books, PrizePicks, Underdog, ParlayPlay, Fliff, in these videos because they're legal in the most locations. But like Caesars Sportsbook, for example, they have a 50%. I thought they did. They usually have an NFL parlay profit boost. And typically what I do is I just go to the positive EV tool. I look for 4 plays with value. So, hey, Garrett Wilson, under 65.5 receiving yards. We're getting plus 104 on Caesars. All the other books are pricing this. No other book is even giving you plus money. Every other book has this line around like minus 125. We're getting plus 104. So it's like, yeah, that seems like a pretty damn good promo or play to go within a Caesars parlay if there's a promo. But anyways, Tyler Hero over. Looney under, Kobe White over. Sure. So let's take a look here. So we're not done with this parlay play. So I kind of forgot about it, but we're not done. And what was this? Points plus assists. So I don't really want to play Mobley in the same play with a player from the same game. I'm just not sure about the correlation on it. So we'll get rid of that for a second. And then we can just go to player points plus assist and we can look at Kobe White. So, I mean, this plays, right, it's clear as day. 15.5, 16.5 across the board, right? PrizePicks, Underdog, all the other books have his line higher. So we found a play with value and edge, a play that's going to make us money long-term. And then we have Looney under 18.5 points plus rebounds. So it's like, okay. right? None of these plays are in the same game, so we don't have any correlation to worry about. We put in a $60 max bet size. We're just kind of throwing out darts. Every single play has an edge. I know I'll make money on this platform long term. This platform, you're going to have more brutal variance. This is a parlay-only sportsbook where 6-pick parlays are the best slip type. So there's going to be pretty brutal ups and downs on ParlayPlay. But, you just find plays with an edge. They only have a $60 max bet size. I'm up $3,000 profit on $60 max bet sizes. So not bad, right? So any other plays we want to go with? Not really. You can go back to PrizePicks or Underdog or see if there's any plays on Fliff. So again, they also have, 50% profit boosts for the LSU Alabama game on FanDuel. So what you could always do is you could just arbitrage bet this. So if you go here and you go to FanDuel, let's say, you're like, oh, I don't really like risk. I just want to, make some money. So this is a pretty big game. So all this tool does, and it doesn't look like there's anything that great right now, but all this low holds tool does is point out value in the game. So the same way we discussed arbitrage betting earlier with that example on Looney. Oh shit, here's a crazy arbitrage bet. And again, you can select the books you use, any books you don't want to see, you can filter them out. But you can see here, DraftKings ripped this down from plus 195 to plus 165. So some of these arbitrage bets move quick, but once you know how to navigate these sports books quickly, how do you find a player's, points plus assist line? It's to go to combo props. Once you understand how to navigate these books relatively quickly, there's a lot of money you can make arbitrage betting. Fliff has a max bet size of 250. So for this play on Bobby Wagner, tackles plus assists, it's not glamorous, but, sitting in my boxers at home could make a risk-free $2.20. Just place these two bets. Takes 20 seconds to do, make a risk-free profit of a couple bucks. And there's a lot better arbitrage bets usually. It just kind of depends when you look in the day. As more NBA lines come out closer to game time, there's usually some really good arbitrage plays. So what you could also do is you could hedge a little bit. We have Jokic under 9 on PrizePicks. It looks like Fliff is giving decent value on his over 8.5. So again, they're different bets, right? Over 8.5 is a completely different bet than over 9. There's some good value on Desmond Bane over 4.5 assists. Kobe White under 4.5 assists, right? Obviously, we just took him over on ParlayPlay. But again, sometimes there's value on both an over and an under. Arbitrage betting, again, is when books have such different odds from one another, 199 versus minus 140, that you can bet the over on one book, Fliff, the under on another book, Caesars, and guarantee a profit. So sometimes there's value on ParlayPlay on Kobe White, points plus assists over, and then there's value on Fliff on his under. It just depends. But anyways, we'll call it a day for now. Thanks so much for your time. And yeah, have a great rest of your Friday.